Don't ever think success can buy you safety. I did, and I saw a multi-million-dollar sanctuary turn into a slaughterhouse. Lower East Side, East Houston Street, July 13th. You know those people who just seem to have figured it out? That was Fahim. I met him back when his office was basically a desk in a dream, but even then, he talked about the future like it was already happening. He was generous, maybe too generous. He didn't just want to win, he wanted everyone around him to win too. But the higher you climb, the bigger the target on your back becomes. And in a city as crowded as New York, you never really know who is standing right behind you in the elevator. I remember stepping out of the subway into the crisp air of SoHo. It's a place where everything feels exclusive, where the cobblestone streets whisper about money and success. Fahim's apartment on East Houston Street was the pinnacle of that dream. A multi-million-dollar condo with a private elevator that opened directly into his living room. That elevator. It was supposed to be a symbol of his privacy. In the end, it was his trap. We were working on a new project together. Fahim was always moving. One day he's in Lagos, the next he's in Dhaka, then back to Manhattan. He was building Gokada, trying to revolutionize transport in Nigeria. He was a visionary. But while he was looking at the horizon, he didn't see the shadow growing right next to him. His assistant, Tyrese. I saw him a few times. Quiet, efficient, always there. Fahim treated him like a younger brother. He even found out Tyrese had been stealing from him, nearly $90,000. Anyone else would have called the NYPD immediately. Not Fahim. He set up a repayment plan. He wanted to give the kid a second chance. He handed him a lifeline, and Tyrese used it to hang him. It was mid-July 2020. The city was still quiet because of the pandemic. I hadn't heard from Fahim in about 24 hours. He was busy, sure, but he always replied. I figured he was just deep in a coding session. But then the news broke. It started as a suspicious death in SoHo. My heart sank. I knew that address. The security footage from the building. I can't stop seeing it in my head. Fahim gets into the elevator. A man follows him. He's dressed in all black, wearing a mask, looking like a ninja, carrying a bag. Fahim looks confused. He looks at the man, probably wondering why he's there. The elevator doors open directly into Fahim's apartment. As Fahim steps out, the man attacks. He uses a taser. Fahim collapses. The next day, Fahim's cousin went to check on him. She found what was left. Tyrese had been there. He had used an electric saw. He was in the middle of cleaning up when he heard her coming. He escaped through the back stairs. The saw was still plugged in. He didn't just kill him. He tried to erase him. Let me take you deeper into the nightmare, because the headlines didn't capture the feeling of it. Fahim wasn't just a tech CEO. He was a force of nature. In a city that grinds people down into dust, he was building things. He hired Tyrese when the kid was barely out of his teens. He gave him responsibilities that people twice his age would kill for. He trusted him with his bank accounts, his schedule, his personal life. Tyrese was the gatekeeper, and for a long time, he played the role perfectly. He was the shadow in the corner of the room, always nodding, always taking notes. But shadows can hide ugly things. When Fahim discovered the theft, it wasn't a small accounting error. It was a systematic draining of funds. Tyrese was living a life he couldn't afford, funded by the man who gave him a career. When Fahim confronted him, the betrayal must have been gut-wrenching. But Fahim, being Fahim, didn't want to destroy the kid's life. He saw a young black man in America and didn't want to feed him into the prison system. He thought he could teach him a lesson about responsibility. He thought he was being a mentor. He didn't realize he was negotiating with a psychopath. The repayment plan was simple. Tyrese would pay back the money over time. No police, no public shame. It was an act of grace. But to Tyrese, it wasn't grace. It was a threat. It was a debt he didn't want to pay. In his twisted logic, eliminating the creditor was the most efficient way to clear the balance sheet. That day in July, the heat in New York was oppressive. The kind of humidity that sticks your shirt to your back the moment you step outside. The city was in that weird, suspended animation of the early pandemic. Fewer cars, fewer people, more sirens. The silence of the streets made everything feel amplified. When the killer entered the elevator, the timing was surgical. He waited for Fahim to enter. The doors were closing. He slipped in. The video shows no hesitation. Fahim looks at him. You can see the gears turning in his head. Is this a delivery? Is this a neighbor? But the outfit was wrong. All black, face covered, in the middle of summer. The warning bells must have been screaming in Fahim's head, but there was nowhere to go. An elevator is a cage that moves. You are trapped in a metal box with whoever is beside you. When the doors opened on the 7th floor into that beautiful, spacious living room, Fahim probably thought he had reached safety. He stepped forward, and that's when the taser hit him. The killer didn't say a word. He just incapacitated him. The cold efficiency of it is what keeps me up at night. It wasn't a fight. It was an execution. Tyrese left the apartment. He went home. He slept. The next day, he went shopping. He went to Home Depot. He bought a saw. He bought cleaning supplies. He acted like he was starting a home renovation project. He returned to the apartment the next day to finish the job. He was going to dismember the body. He was going to bag it up and carry it out, piece by piece, so that Fahim would just disappear. A missing person case, a mystery. He was in the middle of this nightmare when the buzzer rang. It was Fahim's cousin. That buzzer, it saved the killer from being caught red-handed, but it also revealed the scene in its most horrific state. Tyrese panicked. He fled down the back stairs as the elevator brought the cousin up. It was a matter of seconds. Instead, she walked into the aftermath. The torso, the limbs, the electric saw sitting there on the floor, still plugged into the wall outlet. The silence of the apartment broken only by the hum of the refrigerator and the distant city noise. The trial revealed the details, the planning, the coldness. Tyrese had used Fahim's own money to buy the saw, the cleaning supplies, the mask. Every step of the crime was funded by the man he was murdering. It makes my skin crawl. Fahim's kindness was weaponized against him. I still walk through SoHo sometimes. I look up at those beautiful buildings, those symbols of the American dream. I think of Fahim. I think of his laugh, his energy, and that final, terrifying ride in the elevator. We like to think that success protects us, that we can buy safety. But the truth is, sometimes the person you're helping up the ladder is the one waiting to push you off the top.